Today we're going to be covering The Soul of the Dragon, a story of the Green Ranger in the future. This is a part of the Boom Power Rangers continuity, guys. So if you enjoyed the Boom Power Rangers run of the Shattered Grid and the new storyline that we've started covering called Beyond the Grid, then you're going to like this storyline of a future Tommy. And what is his life like? After everything's said and done for the Green Ranger, what does Tommy do with a wife and a child? If you're wondering where you are, well, this is the Comicstorian channel, where we go into the pop culture lore of your favorite icons and read them back to you as audio dramas. I hope you guys enjoy, because I did enjoy the Soul of the Dragon storyline. Bridgeport Township High School. A large crowd has gathered for the retirement ceremony of Tommy Oliver. His friends and colleagues question what he plans to do with his life after tonight. To be honest, I haven't really thought about it, he tells them. One thing is for sure, though. After his wife Kat returns from her business trip, they're taking a much-needed vacation. Finally, with the speeches ending, everyone congratulates Tommy. The next day, he's driving Kat to the spaceport when the old pain in his back starts up. Brushing off Kat's concerns, he asks if she's talked to their son JJ. As an officer in the SPD, he warned her to be careful on her trip. Tommy questions why the SPD have a battalion working the spaceport now anyway, but it's probably because everyone is afraid of the recent gang wars. Staring at the soldiers, he begins to question Kat on whether it bothers her how little they've actually changed while they were Power Rangers. She just calls him crazy. They saved the Earth 100 times. Of course they changed things. But doesn't really feel any safer, does it? But Tommy's just being silly, and Kat tells him to stop with his "nothing I ever did is good enough" mood. As a ranger, teacher, and father, he changed the world. He earned his rest, and they'll take it once she gets back. With a final kiss goodbye, Kat heads into the spaceport. While watching her leave, another spike of pain slides down Tommy's back, but it's probably nothing. You got a spinal nerve being pinched by a receptor. I'm surprised that you're not doubled over in pain, the doctor tells him later, at the new tech hospital. After a few quick adjustments, immediately his pain is alleviated. The doctor questions how long it's been since Tommy had a checkup on his tech. Not since the car accident? He questions. Memories begin to fill his head of his battles as the Green Ranger, when the claw is slashed across his back. Yeah. Well, the doc thinks that it's time for a diagnostic, a complete tune-up. Joys of aging. Until they can set something up, he shouldn't do anything crazy. So that night, Tommy looks at the old photographs. He checks the safe. The old morpher is still there, cracked and dented, and nostalgia fills his memories. In one of those memories, he struggles to his feet, his green armor cracked and scarred. "The famous Green Ranger. You came all this way just to lay down and die." The monster rushes him, but the Green Ranger is ready. He morphs again from green to white in a flash. He leaps in, his kick crashing into the monster's face. But momentum is against him, and the monster continues forward. And that's when the coin cracked. But the sound of the phone pulls him away from his memories. Tommy answers to hear the sound of his son. JJ is surprised that his father is still up, him being old and all. The two catch up quickly, and JJ doesn't have a lot of time to talk. After they hang up, Tommy looks at the morpher one last time before returning to the safe. JJ is then dropped off, and quietly walking down the dark street, he is interrupted. The gang leaders sneer at him despite JJ not looking for trouble. He fights, but they quickly overpower him and he begins to run. Before he can get far, though, the wall behind him explodes in a flash of green light, and he stares in horror behind him. Days later, Tommy is placing groceries into his car when a woman stops him from closing the door. "My name's Inara. I'm a friend of JJ's and we need to talk." According to Inara, JJ's in trouble. She quickly fills Tommy in. They were supposed to meet a few days ago, but JJ never showed up. Tommy isn't surprised. The SPD keeps him pretty busy. Inara is stunned though. JJ quit a few weeks ago. She figured Tommy knew. Something had happened, and Inara doesn't think that JJ trusts the SPD anymore. You think the SPD has something to do with this? But Inara isn't sure. All she knows is that she tried to bring JJ up to her bosses and was shut down. She doesn't know what's going on. If Tommy can get a hold of him, great. If not, she's hoping that he could give her a call. She hands over her number and exits the car. Quickly calling JJ, he is met with nothing but a voicemail. Another call to Kat reveals that she also has not spoken to their son since last Tuesday either. He doesn't have a lot of time, and he quickly fills her in on what he just found out. So he has no choice. He's going to go see them at the SPD headquarters. He waits in the lobby for a little while, and he's finally greeted by his old friend. He's busy, but he can make time. They small talk about the old times until finally ending up in Sky's office. When Tommy begins to question JJ, Sky seems a little defensive. It turns out that JJ did quit a few weeks ago. Anger fills Tommy. "Why didn't he tell me?" he questions, but everyone assumed he knew. All they know is that JJ seemed to be spooked by something and no one knows what. Sky says that he is worried, but if something did happen, they'll figure it out together. Just leave it to them. "Yeah, okay, I'll do that," Tommy tells him as he walks out. Later at home, he's on the phone with Kat again. Something isn't right. He doesn't trust them, and she is questioning his plan. I think I'm going to link up with this girl, find out what she knows. Then I'm going to find our son. There's no way that he's going to sit back if there's something wrong with JJ. Kat agrees and tells him to be careful with it, since he hasn't used it in a long time. It's paced for emergencies only. On the side street, Anara explains everything that she knows about JJ's last case. He was suspicious of the recent gang violence and a potential new weapon. Everything was linked to something called the Witch. Tommy turns and they're sitting in front of a bar where a guy named Maurice hangs out. JJ knew that he was somehow connected to the Witch, and with a nod, he starts to get out of the car. Anara can't stop him. She thinks his plan is a terrible idea. This spot is unwelcome for humans. Anara, please, you know who I am. Unwelcome spots are my thing. Inside, neon lights flash over strange aliens, and ordering a club soda at the bar, he scans the room. A couple of quick questions and a 20 lead the bartender to tell the group of aliens that he's been asking too many questions. You got a problem? The biggest alien asks. Tommy doesn't, he just wants to find his son. You guys heard of Maurice? It's the wrong question, and the aliens attack. Stunned, Tommy is brought outside where he tries to explain to everyone their mistake, and blows start to rain down on him. He fishes in his pocket. He finds the morpher and he calls it out, Dino Thunder, power up! For the briefest of moments, the beings are stunned at the sight of the Power Ranger before them, but he's still an old man, and they attack. The morpher makes Tommy fast and strong, quickly defeating them. Grabbing one of them, he asks his questions again. Word is that Maurice will be with the Witch on the west side selling weapons to a rival gang. Anara watches as the thugs come running out of the front of the bar, and running inside, she finds Tommy, and the two quickly run at the back. Suddenly, Tommy morphs back into an old man, pain screaming through his body. I didn't tell it to power down, he struggles. But Anara isn't surprised. The thing is cracked and damaged. It's a master morpher allowing Tommy to cycle through his old powers, but due to its damage, it can only cycle through in a specific order. And the worst part is, it's destroying the coins. Luckily, they managed to get some info. Later, at the west side, Tommy and Anara watch as the weapons deal is going down, and a rumble of incoming cars means that others have arrived. On the street, they hear the man in charge offering a new weapon. It seems to be color coordinated. Black makes you stronger, yellow makes you faster, pink is great all around. Of course, the gang members just want a demonstration, so JJ walks up from the shadows. Do you guys have a favorite color? Because I do. He smiles. Stunned, Tommy watches as JJ crushes a green crystal in his hand, transforming into some sort of ranger. Anger fills Tommy. They must be controlling his son somehow. Suddenly, he feels the tap of a pistol against the back of his head. What do you think you're doing? The thug questions. So Tommy orders Anara to stand behind him, glaring at the man with the gun. Shift into turbo, he snarls. Down at the deal, though, everyone turns as the explosion at the top of the construction site begins. And suddenly, the red Turbo Ranger is among them. I don't know what this is about, but it stops right now. He leaps among them, delivering fast blows. And suddenly, JJ is there, a punch cracking his father's helmet. Anara opens fire, but JJ is too fast, crossing the room and disarming her easily. Tommy tries to get through to his son, but JJ isn't listening, and an energy blast stuns him. Darkness overcomes him as he watches his son escaping with the weapons dealers. Come on! Anara screams for him, bringing him back from the dark. The building is falling apart around them, and quickly he shields them from the destruction. Struggling through the debris, they seem to have come through it unscathed, but Tommy has depowered again, and the red Turbo Ranger is gone. Suddenly, Tommy falls over in a scream of pain. The servos are pinching his spine again. Luckily, Anara manages to fix it, but he can't seem to help but feel like this is his fault. He doesn't know why JJ didn't come to him, but Anara can understand. It's been hard for JJ growing up in his father's shadow, the mighty Tommy Oliver. She can see how this might have happened. Luckily, they have a start. She managed to find the remains of the crystal that JJ used, and Tommy knows who to talk to about that. Later at a nondescript apartment, Anara thinks that it's just weird that they knock on the door. It's so good to see you, Finster cries as he opens it up. And Tommy apologizes for the late call, but it's nothing. Finster has nothing but time these days. Staring around the room, Anara marvels at the statues that Finster has created. Showing Finster the crystal, the old villain doesn't want anything to do with magic anymore. But it's when Tommy tells him that it's also about his son that Finster does take it. A simple spell reveals the location of the crystal's owner, but Finster leaves Tommy with a warning. The crystal is dark magic, something I haven't felt since... We both know who, Finster. Anara is shocked. They think this is Rita Repulsa. Finster gives them a weapon that should stop Rita's magic for a few moments, but it's all he can do. Arriving at the location, Tommy watches the guards from a nearby building, and it's a simple plan. The next coin in the morpher is the Zeo coin, which is said to get more powerful over time. Tommy's going to go through the front, but Inara sneaks in the back. Quick work is made of those guards, and inside Inara stumbles upon JJ. They're here to help him. "I'm undercover, Inara!" He hisses at her. He quit to keep his cover. They just blew the whole operation. From the shadows, a cloaked woman appears. The fact that JJ is Tommy's son makes his betrayal almost tolerable. "I don't know how you're back, Rita, but one more step and we kill your magic," Tommy warns. But this witch, it's not Rita. The cloak dissolves and Scorpina is standing before them. Inara tries the magic weapon anyway, but it does nothing, and suddenly Scorpina is behind them, slashing at Tommy's back. Inara and JJ try to cover him, but the evil woman is so fast, and their weapons are knocked away. Knocking them away with her magic, Tommy and Inara tumble off the building. "This is gonna hurt," he warns as they tumble through the air, impacting the buildings hard. Back on the rooftop, Scorpina is pleased with JJ and the two disappear in a cloud of smoke. But Inara wakes up to a depowered Tommy standing before her. They need to get back to Finster. They should be able to help them find Scorpina, but they only discovered the former villain's body. His apartment destroyed around them, and a saddened Tommy kneels before him, closing his eyes in death. The death of Finster was his fault. I must have mentioned his name, but he sees something in the rubble. A statue of Finster that wasn't there before. The small version of the sculptor begins to cough in the dust. "Finster!" Tommy kneels in disbelief before it. Yet it's not as he was. It's been so long since he brought life to clay. He doesn't have time. The statue tells them that Finster discovered that the crystals were brought to Scorpina by the demon lord Lokar. He knows that Scorpina will sacrifice his son to Lokar to bring him into their dimension. The little sculpture then begins to cough again, and he turns to dust. "I'm so sorry, Tommy." Standing in the destroyed apartment over the body of his fallen friend, Tommy doesn't think he can do this, and suddenly, his phone beeps. "So you're gonna kill me, right?" JJ asks as he's tied to a stone in the site of the sacrifice. But he wants to know one thing. What happened to you? Like all great villains, Scorpina starts to monologue. It was a long time ago that Scorpina decided to try and gain power, but she was tricked by Rita Repulsa and sent to Talos Dimension. It is there that she met Lokar. For years, she had nothing to bargain with the Demon Lord over, but when the Zordon wave removed his allies from this world, Scorpina became his agent of Earth. She returned to this world decades later, armed with the crystals from Lokar, and began to arm the gangs of Earth. Now she will sacrifice JJ to Lokar and gain more power than even Rita Repulsa. Is that all this? The White Ranger steps forward, Saba saber in his hand. Finally! I had her talking for like 5 minutes. But it doesn't matter, for Tommy is just an old man and he's alone. Scorpina smiles in triumph as her men stand behind her, but Tommy isn't alone. And over the hill come the members of the SPD and their allies. The battle begins and the White Ranger clashes with Scorpina, and from the back, Kat covers her husband, a smile on her face and a big gun in her hands. Scorpina is not easily defeated though, and she begins to power herself up with a handful of crystals, so Tommy struggles, his power is already fading. Grasping JJ in her hand, Scorpina smiles at her victory. Tommy is down to his last morph and he only has one last chance. "JJ, catch!" he yells as he tosses the Master Morpher to his son. And that's when we hear it. "Dragon Sword! Green Ranger power!" The emerald light stabs outward as Scorpina drops the new Ranger. JJ moves quick, punching and kicking to drop the rest of Scorpina's men, and suddenly a terrible voice fills the area. "The time has come," he cries with everyone turning to the visage of Lokar. Scorpina turns. She will have his sacrifice in a moment, and that's when anger flashes in Lokar's eyes. He gave her a moment. Her excuses are done, and she will be the tribute. A whirlwind flashes through the area, sucking Scorpina and her men into the Talos Dimension. And just as quickly as it started, it is over. So Tommy and his family embrace. Weeks later, the family is at the harbor, and JJ is surprised that his father still wants to leave. SPD could always use another consultant, but it's time to find something else. Tommy knows that the SPD is in good hands, and after a few hugs, the boat leaves the dock, leaving Inara and JJ standing alone. That's when the communicators beep. Back into action? Inara asks. Absolutely. The emerald light explodes, and JJ stands there, the new Green Ranger. And there you have it, another solo outing for the Power Rangers comic books. I think it's kind of interesting and a lot of fun. Now, as far as I know, The Soul of the Dragon is just a standalone graphic novel and does not tie into anything going on in Shattered Grid or Beyond the Grid. And if you're wondering about when are we going to cover more Power Rangers, well, honestly, I'm letting it get a little farther ahead so that we can do a lot of them back to back. And we're going to wrap up Scooby-Doo first, then kind of wrap up what's going on with the Power Rangers. So stick around, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy the Power Rangers comic books or you want to know what's going on with the Power Rangers lore, then come hang out with us because we are trying to cover it. Anyway, I hope you guys subscribe, and you can always find me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time right here.